guys, it's RPG Gamer Girl. Make sure you turn on our email notifications so you can catch our latest live streams and videos. Thanks!
Hey doing guys, it's Andrew at Elite Gaming HQ, and I have another PC build for you guys. This is a PC I've been experimenting with, and this one actually hits close to heart, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But first, the PC wound up costing $540, a little less than that maybe, before you procure Windows 10. And I built this PC to test the RX460 versus the GTX1050 and the GTX1050ti. So after we go through the build, tomorrow you'll see the benchmarks for the RX460 because that's the first phase of everything I'm doing. Now I said this is a budget build. It is a budget build, but it's a budget build where you have a few of the finer things. It's going to come with an SSD, 16 gigs of RAM, a nice Corsair case, so the extras, you know. Now the thing about this computer and the next one I build, after we test the 1050 and the 1050ti, I'm going to put it up on my Amazon store. The link is in the description. We're going to try to sell the one you see today with the plain old 1050 for $599, and that's going to come with a fully authentic version of Windows 10 Pro. Then for the 1050ti, it's going to be something like $629. And I'll be putting them up on the store in a couple days, so keep an eye out for that if you guys like what you see here. I would have to say with the performance of this PC with the RX460 is actually really nice. I did some benchmarks today, came out really good. I did some Civilization 6, some Overwatch, some Doom with Vulkan, a couple different other games, and I feel like it's a very nice computer, a very nice build. But let's get into the build now. So for the processor, I have an FX8320E, which is a 3.2 gigahertz, 8-thread, 8-core processor. The reason why I recommend this processor, because if you look back, the 4-core processors really aren't going to cut it anymore for AMD side, and this processor only comes in at $120, so you're not spending $200 to meet the minimum system requirements for games like Battlefield. I said you needed at least an i5 6600 on the Intel side. That's rough. That's a $200 processor. That's hard to fit in a budget build, but this one will run it fine at $118. I socketed that to a Gigabyte GA78 LMT USB 3 micro ATX AM3 motherboard. It's a mouthful. It's a decent motherboard. It's got some interesting stuff to it, like the old style hard drive cables, but it's a good motherboard, and it's going to do everything you need. It's got an older chipset, but you're not really going to be overclocking because this is kind of a budget build, and it's a micro ATX, so it'll fit right in basically any case. Now see, with an AMD build, you don't have to worry about getting an aftermarket fan or a cooler or anything like that because the processor will come with one in the box, and that's just fine for what we're doing. Alright, next we go for RAM. Now I actually couldn't find the RAM that I used, but here is the same RAM basically, Kingston X 16 gigs, DDR3, 1333 megahertz. You really don't need fast RAM frequency for gaming. It doesn't really matter at all. Honestly, you really don't even need 16 gigs yet. Some games are saying in their recommended, not their minimum, but they're recommended to have 16. So in this build, we went for 16 right away. It's no problem. RAM's pretty cheap for 16 gigs. Next, we want the Corsair LE 240 gig SSD. This thing is nice. I actually have this in my main computer, the computer that I do all my editing in. It's my boot drive. I feel like it's a great drive. I wanted to put it in here so people that buy this computer can experience the speed of an SSD. It'll fit a decent amount of your games, and it's ridiculously easy to add in a mechanical hard drive down the road, or even when you purchase the computer. If you do purchase a computer from me and you want to add in a mechanical hard drive, all you have to do is talk to me and we'll do it on Skype or something. Super easy. It's like literally put the drive in, screw it in, connect two cables, boot up. Basically it. Alright, so next we have the crown jewel of this build, which I am so surprised at how great it runs, is the Gigabyte Radeon RX460 4GB WindForce overclocked video card. I got this for $119.99. I actually got mine off of Amazon. Newegg had the same exact price, but I do have Amazon Prime, so shipped right to me in 2 days. Great card. I was surprised at how good this card runs. I'm playing Overwatch in Ultra 1080p, and I think my minimum frame rate was 58. It might have been 68. Can't quote me on that. You have to check the video for tomorrow. But needless to say, this thing is sitting at around 70 FPS the whole time, if not a little more. Perfectly smooth. It was a pleasure to play games on this card, and for only $119, well, 120 bucks. And the reason why I purchased this card is because to test the 1050 and the 1050ti, the 1050 is supposed to drop at $109, and the 1050ti is supposed to drop at $139. So this card fits right in the middle, and I really wanted to see what this card can do sitting right in the middle of the price range. And I'll tell you what, it's a good card. Alright, so on to the next thing. I picked up 2 cases. I have the Corsair Spec 02 and a Corsair Spec 01. The Spec 02 is going to be reserved for the 1050 Ti. There's a little bit of subtle differences in these cases, not much. Spec 02 comes with an extra couple bit of features. If you can get them for the same price, then go with the Spec 02. I think right now the 01 is sitting at $49.99, so you pay $6 more and you get the 02. It's probably worth it. A little better cable management. I might do a video on the side of just comparing those 2 cases because it's very subtle. Next we have an EVGA 400 watt ATX power supply. I was talking to my friend at work and he was saying, you know, that he doesn't ever go below a 600 watt power supply. It's kind of ridiculous, guys. You don't need a huge power supply. If it's a 400 watt, it could probably run at about 350 watts constant, non-stop, no problems at all. You don't need a 600 watt or anything crazy like that. The system is only going to be taking up 260 to 270 watts, and that's with the Radeon card. You drop in the GTX card, you're actually using less watts because they're only rated for 75 watts. 75 watts, that's like nothing. Plus it's EVGA, they make good power supplies. I think you'll be fine. Then I added in 2 Cooler Master Sickle Flow 120mm fans. What I did was I took the stock red fan that was in the front of the case, moved it to the back of the case, and put the 2 Sickle Flows up front so they would have a unified look, and the back of the case glows a nice red. Very pretty, very simple, and great airflow. And of course, I already mentioned Microsoft's Windows 10 Pro, and that is the build. So as I've been flashing some pictures here, you guys can see how nice it went together. The next thing is tomorrow, I'll have the benchmarks up. And tomorrow I should have the benchmarks up of at least the RX460, and we'll get to see how that fares, and then later we're going to take those numbers and compare it to the 1050 a couple days later. So that's what I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and thanks for supporting my channel. I'll see you on the next one, guys. It's Andrew at Elite Gaming HQ.
Just let me shoot you! No! I've tapping this button for years.
The shotgun wrecks people.
Surprise, motherfucker! Had body armor on.
Baited you.
Oh, I fucking had you.
You had nothing.
I pulled that
I
trigger.
let you think you had me.
Ugh.
I let you think it. That's all it was.
You thought what I made you think.
Exactly.